All right, let's continue with number 9. This one has 3 parentheses, so we're going to distribute through all of them, which means there's going to be some more of that combining like terms that we saw. So let's do it. 3 times 4x is 12x. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. Negative 1 times 5x is negative 5x. Negative 1 times negative 8 is plus 8 equals 8. Then negative 1 times 2x is negative 2x. Negative 1 times 3 is minus 3. Very important. Here's where our equal sign is. So we're going to make sure to clean up. And looks like there's lots of stuff we can clean up. Here are some x's. Here are some constants on this side. And on the other side, there's a couple of constants that we're going to clean up. Let's do the left-hand side first. Here's the equal. I'm going to add the 12x's and the negative 5x's, which gives me 7x's. I'm going to combine the negative 6 and the 8. That's a plus 2. On the other side, I've got the negative 2x, and then 8 and negative 3 add up to a positive 5. Now, is it okay if I wrote that as 5 minus 2x? Absolutely. Okay? Now, I've got it cleaned up on both sides as much as possible, but I would like this 2 to be on the other side of the equal sign. When I move him over, he becomes a negative 2. Then I'm going to move the negative 2x back over to the left. When it crosses over the equal sign, he becomes a positive 2x. So I have 7x. Now clean up on both sides, combine like terms. 7x's and 2x's makes 9x. 5 and negative 2 makes 3. We're dividing both sides by 9, and again, that's always our last step. The 9's cancel, so we can get the x by itself, and 3 over 9 can reduce by a factor of 3. I'll divide by 3 on top and bottom, and I get a 1/3. Let's go to number 10. If you want to, stop the video so you can combine clean it up on your own first. Here, I'm going to distribute the negative 6 times x is a negative 6x. Negative 6 times negative 2 is a plus 12, plus 8x. On the other side, I can go ahead and combine like terms. I'll do it in the next step so I can do it all at once. All right, here's where the equal sign is very important. So I'm going to combine like terms. I've got 2x terms on the left that I can combine, and I've got 2x terms on the right of the equal sign that I can combine. Let's do that. Negative 6x's and 8x's combine to make 2x. And then I've got that plus 12 also. On the other side, negative x and negative 3x combine to make negative 4x and bring down the negative 12 also. Now I've got it cleaned up as much as possible, so I would like my 12 to be on the right with the other constant. But remember, when he crosses over, he becomes a negative 12. And that negative 4 that's on the right, I'd like him on the left. In order to move him over to the left, he's got to change signs and become a positive 4x. Remember, that's a very powerful equal sign that makes that happen. 2x's and 4x's make 6x. On the other side, a negative 12 and a negative 12 combine to make negative 24. Last step, to get that 6 off of that x, because it's multiplied onto it, you divide it off. But if you do it to one side, do it to the other. On the left, the 6's cancel and I get x equals. And negative 24 divided by 6 is going to give us a negative 4. Okay, let's keep going. We have the same option as we had before to get rid of common denominators, so we're going to use it. I'm going to start with the largest denominator, 9, and write down some of the multiples. 9 times 1 is 9, 9 times 2 is 18, 9 times 3 is 27. Feeling kind of good about 18. Does 6 divide into 18? Yes. So 18 is our common denominator. I'm going to multiply each term by the 18. So let me write it out. I'm going to multiply the least common denominator onto each piece individually. That way you can see how it cleans up. All right. When I multiply the first piece by the least common denominator, the 6 and the 18 reduce by a factor of 6. That's going to leave the 3, and this is going to leave behind a 1. When I multiply straight across, I get 15x. When I look at the second term, 18 and 9 reduced by a factor of 9, or you can reduce it as slowly as you want, or you can just say 18 divided by 9 is 2. That's going to become a plus 2 when you reduced it. Next one, 18 and 6 reduced by a factor of 6 is going to leave behind a 3, and that's a 1. Now, it's not an accident that the denominators are canceling. That's supposed to happen. And when you multiply 3 times negative 1x, you get a minus 3x. And one more. When I multiply the least common denominator onto the third term, 18 and 6 have a factor of 6 in common. That's going to be behind a 3 and a 1. When I multiply straight across, I get a minus 3 over 1, which is minus 3. Now we've got a much nicer equation to solve. That's why we do that. We're going to move the 2 over to the other side. It's going to become a negative 2. Remember, here's where the equal sign is, so anything that crosses over it changes sign. When I move the negative 3x over to the other side of the equal sign, it becomes a plus 3x. Let's see what we get. 15x's and 3x's combined to make 18x's. And negative 3 and negative 2 combined to make negative 15. After dividing both sides by 18, because I want to get that 18 that's multiplied onto the x off, that's going to leave me with an x, and on the other side, I'm going to be left with a negative 5/18. Let's look at our next example. Anytime that I'm going too fast, please pause the video. I'm just trying to make you videos that are short enough that are not too cumbersome to watch, okay? Now, I've got to find a common denominator, so I'm going to write the multiples of 5. 5, 10, 15, 20. As soon as I get to 20, I'm thinking 4 divides into 20. So there's our common denominator. 5 and 4 both divide into 20. I'm going to multiply the least common denominator onto each term. Even the 1 that's all by himself. Pause the video if you need to. I know I'm going kind of quick. And write that out yourself, and then come back. All right. When you're dealing with factors, and by factors I mean like binomials, pieces that are terms or phrases that have more than one piece to them, I want you to slow it down a little bit, okay? That means you're not going to multiply straight across right away, like this. When I multiply the least common denominator onto this first fraction, 20 and 4 both have a factor of 4 in common. That 4 is going to reduce by 4 to 1. And when I divide the 20 by 4, I'm going to be left with a 5. In the next step, I'm going to end up with 5 times the 3x minus 3. Don't distribute right away because it's real easy to lose a sign, okay? And here, nothing cancels. I get minus 20 over 1, which is just 20. Over here, the 20 and the 5 reduced by a factor of 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 20 divided by 5 is 4. I'm going to go ahead and multiply. 4 times 3x is 12x. That didn't have a phrase like 3x minus 3, so you can multiply that together. Much nicer equation now. So I'm going to distribute the 5 in. 5 times 3x is 15x. 5 times negative 3 is minus 15. Minus 20 equals 12x. Now I'm going to combine the like terms that are on the left-hand side. So I end up with the 15x, negative 15, and combined to make negative 35, and it's equal to 12x. Now I'm going to move the 35 over to the other side of the equal. That's going to become a plus 35 over here. And the 12x, I'm going to move over the equal sign also. He's going to become a negative 12x on the left. When I combine like terms, the 15x's and the negative 12x's make 3x. On the other side, I just have that 35. To get the x all by itself, I'm going to divide both sides by 3. So I'm going to end up with x is equal to 35 thirds. Okay, I've got one more for you. And again, stop the video or pause it when you need more time. I'm just trying to make sure we get the whole worksheet in on this video, okay? The common denominator here is definitely 4. 2 divides into 4. So I'm going to multiply every single piece by the least common denominator 4. When I multiply it onto the first term, it's going to look like this. And again, pause the video anytime you need time so you can write this out, because I just jump right into it, don't I? Okay, once we have written it out where we multiply the least common denominator onto each term, we're going to, reduce a little bit. And 2, the 2 reduces by 2 to 1, and 4 reduces by 2 to a 2. But I'm not going to multiply through right away. I'm going to get 2 times the 3x plus 5. For the next piece, nothing cancels. 4 times 4 is 16. Here, the 4's cancel each other out or leave behind a 1 on either part. So I end up with a 1 times 4x plus 2. Let's distribute through the parentheses on both sides now. 2 times 3x is 6x. 2 times 5 is 10. On the other side, I get 16 plus 1 times 4x is 4x, and 1 times 2 is 2. Now here's where the equal sign is. Looks like on the right, I can actually clean up by combining those two parts. Let's do it. On the left, I still have 6x plus 10. On the right, I'm going to write the x's first, but it doesn't matter. If you write 4x and that the 16 and 2 combine to be 18, or 18 plus 4x. That is your preference. Now let's go ahead and solve. I want all the x's on the left-hand side of the equal, so this 4x is going to be moved over and becomes a negative 4x. This 10 needs to be on the right. He gets moved over, but when he crosses over, the equal sign becomes a negative 10. So now we have 6x's and negative 4x's, which combine to be 2x on the left-hand side of the equal. And 18 and negative 10 combine to be 8 on the right-hand side of the equal. To finish it off, I'm going to divide both sides by 2. On the left, I end up with x, and on the right, I end up with 4. I'll see you in the next section.